What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video where we're going to take a look at a brand new exotic coming to the game, the Nurse's Kneepads. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so these come all red. I think the design is probably TBD because they look the same as the blacklisters, so they'll probably get changed at some point. And obviously these stats are subject to change because we are testing this on the PTS, but as you can see here, the talent is both you and allies within 10 meters of you receive 40% Hasbro, meaning it's probably really easy for you and your entire team to become completely immune from status effects if you're using these. And even more so, it's probably going to be good for backfire builds because 40% Hasbro on one piece is certainly no slouch. One thing that you've got to be aware of though, if you take a look at my stats right now, you can see I'm at 60% hazard protection. If I wander into combat and then go back into my stats and have a look, you can see I'm now 100%. So the 40% from the Nurse's Kneepads doesn't actually proc until you're actually in combat, which isn't a big deal anyway. I don't think that's anything too much to worry about. So we're going to take these for a spin with a backfire build. Let's take them for a spin in the brand new PvE DZ. We might actually need to adjust our build a little bit because when you're in the PvE DZ, it's a mouthful, it does actually give us PvP scaling on our gear. So as you can see here, I did prototype a few things so that I could get some extra crit hit damage into the build, because if you do prototype strikers print or whatever gear you're using with Hasbro, it goes from 10 to 15, and obviously when you've done that in 2 pieces of gear, all of a sudden you can drop a Hasbro attribute on 1 piece altogether and build in some more damage. Again, along with that, this giving us 40%, all of a sudden we can build in a lot of damage very, very easily and very, very quickly. So I'm just going to head in here now. We're just going to, so as you can see now, everything is kind of blued out. And if we go to our stats, you can see I'm at 90% Hasbro still with the build. So yeah, pretty good for the moment. But I'm pretty aware here that things are not working correctly. Some things are being affected by the PvP stat alteration and some things are not. So what we'll do, we will actually make ourselves completely immune by putting this bleed resistance mod on. And if we take a look at the stats now, bleed resistance is 100%. It is classifying me as in combat, just being stood in the DZ. So although we did check that out just before, let's go and find something to kill and just see how this kind of works out. And what I am really interested in is how this kind of feels and works out when we get all of the DZ debuffs. For instance, if I take a look at the map, you can see here, you know, there's all of these really horrible debuffs down the right hand side. Is that I'm probably never going to get disorientated from the final one because I'm at 100% Hasbro. If you don't want the movement speed, I don't know who this is, but if you don't want the movement speed debuff, you can put your quick step on. The quick step overwrites the debuff you get for movement speed, which is quite nice. So we'll just pause the video for a second until we get to some enemies. Oh no, I think they're here. I can see the red debuff there from the modifiers.
Hostile striker drone detected.
I did come in when I did a bit of a look around on this with just an all red strikers build. I'm not gonna lie, with all of the kind of debuffs that I had on, you know, all being an all red build, I had to take cover. It wasn't easy. I couldn't quite free run around. It was a heroic landmark though, where this looks like it's only a hard landmark, so we might have to do a bit of a like for like test. You know what? I'm getting pain. It's pain still.
Agent down.
It's pain. And do you know what is part of the pain here? I'm not getting my full strikers bonus anymore because I'm getting affected by the PvP modifiers. Well, the PvP stat alteration that the game has got. I certainly do enough damage. But I really do just need to play this much more careful. So it will be interesting to see if they change this around a bit, if they give us PV, they take away the normalization essentially. And that's it. I'm down and out. That is pretty rough.
Agent incapacitated.
That is pretty rough, and that is just on a hard CP. So it certainly does make it harder, and obviously none of the augments are working or anything like that as well, which obviously does make it significantly harder. So we definitely can't walk around and just face tank everything with this build. But I certainly feel like it's better than my all red strikers build. Running around in an all blue build probably is a pretty good way of doing it. But as far as we're gonna have to go back here and finish this landmark off now, aren't we? And give them another go. But as far as adding extra Hasbro into the build, yeah, it's not a blue slot, which is a little bit unfortunate. But we could put blue absolutely everywhere else. We can't fight in here, buddy. We could put blue absolutely everywhere else and still do, as far as I'm concerned, pretty well. But I do wonder as well, is all of the times you've kind of no idea how many people are in the dark zone with you. And what we do know from the live stream yesterday is that all these enemies scale, essentially, depending on how many people are in the DZ. So some of this stuff is really hurting. If I'm in a full 12-man DZ and I'm playing by myself, that is probably why it's hurting more than what we would think it should be, which is rather interesting. But we are digressing a little bit from the fact that this was a little bit of a demonstration of what you could use the nurses' knee pads for. If we take a look on the map just here, so the reload speed and the weapon handling debuff, that's not going to be affected by our Hasbro, but you can see there at 200 to 299 we are going to lose 30% of that Hasbro, meaning that we're probably going to start to bleed again, unless you want this to be a permanent PvE Dark Zone build. You would have to actually build in a further 30% Hasbro into the build, and the new nurses' knee pads probably give us the space to actually do that. And then at the end, obviously, we're not going to be disorientated if we build into that altogether. But yeah, that's the build that I was running. You can see the stats are 52 crit chance, 120 critical hit damage, 90% Hasbro, but 100% bleed resistance. The mask had Hasbro and crit damage on, and as you can see, it has normalized the stats. Armor and Hasbro on the gloves. The chest had crit damage with a bleed resistance mod in. The holster had armor and Hasbro. The backpack was the Matador with Hasbro, crit damage and perfect adrenaline rush. And the nurses' knee pads are the new piece of gear. And this is very similar to a build that I use to solo master missions. What I usually run here in the place of the nurses' knee pads, if I can just find it, is the... where's it gone? Bellstone chest piece here, because it gave me armor regen and Hasbro and intimidate. So that was the piece that I usually run in that place, and then we would have striker's knees on here instead. But there were probably these ones here with an armored core with some crit chance, just to make it all kind of even up. But yeah, let me know what you think of the nurses knee pads. Are you going to be using these, or do you already use another exotic on your backfire Hasbro build? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and as always, agents, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.